going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a vinyl haul showcasing all of the records that I acquired within the month of January this year in 2022. It is the first monthly haul of the year, and we have a lot of stuff to get through in this haul. We have some Beatles Anthologies, we have the unreleased David Bowie album Toy, a bunch of Montreal, a slice of 60s folk, and much, much more. It is about to go deep, so without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the latest finds. All right, guys, it is the new year, 2022, my first vinyl purchases of the new year. So, to kind of piggyback off of what I had stocked up on towards the tail end of 2021, I decided to kick off the new year in the same vein and stock up on a couple of doses of Brown Acid. Absolutely love this series, collection of various underground psych rock stuff from the 60s and 70s, all phenomenal stuff. Writing Easy Records does a phenomenal job putting these together. So I have the 9th trip and the 10th trip, and I figured it perfectly follows suit because I had purchased volumes 4, 5, and 6 at the tail end of 2021. I already have volumes 7 and 8, which are Roland Rex exclusive pressings, and I figured keep it going and get 9 and 10. I still need the third one. I might have to get that from their website. But the 9th trip comes on standard black vinyl, but the 10th trip comes pressed on sort of marbly red vinyl, which is absolutely cool. And that's kind of part of the fun of ordering these releases from the various distros that I buy from for the store that I manage, because it's kind of a stroke of luck to see what color variant you get. They don't really notate it on the listings or anything, so it's kind of like you buy a copy and you just kind of see what happens. So very happy to get more Brown Acid stuff. And then here is a record that I've kind of had my eye on for the longest time, and it was up on the wall at my store, and this was part of a massive Beatles collection that my boss had purchased. And if you recall, a couple months ago, I did purchase from that collection a 2003 Japanese pressing of Revolver. And I saw this and it caught my eye, but obviously there was a lot missing, but I managed to cobble together something rather unique, yet it's homemade, but it's something fun that I decided to do, and it made me pull the trigger on it, finally. Check this out. This is a Japanese pressing of Help. This came out back in 1992. This was part of the 30th anniversary series, which obviously it was 30 years from the debut with Please Please Me. Now, when this came into the shop, it doesn't come with the insert with the lyrics, and it did not come with the obi. And I decided, because I really had my eye on this, and I kept saying to myself that I would only buy it if it had the obi. Sure enough, I go on Discogs, and there are some high-res scans of the obi strip, and I decided to get one made. Now, granted, it's a little bit fuzzy towards the top, but it looks rather decent. I mean, obviously, I don't intend on selling this pressing at all, but even if I was, I would not include this thing. This was just a little homemade thing that I decided to do. But yeah, so it's kind of semi sort of complete, which is interesting. The cover itself does show a little bit of sign of wear, but I will say, though, the vinyl is absolutely stunning, and it comes on this EMI Odeon label. And the thing that I love about this pressing, and this is something kind of not really minute, but it's something that I dug into. This is the true 1965 stereo pressing, because in my collection, because I have the stereo and mono box sets, the stereo box, they used the remix that George Martin did in the 1980s when the Beatles catalog first got released on CD. And that sort of has become default. Now, granted, they did remaster the original mixes, but they included them as bonuses in the mono CD box. And the two albums that they specifically remixed were this one, Help, and Rubber Soul. But upon listening to this, I noticed right off the bat there was not a whole lot of reverb going on, because that remix does have a good amount of it. And I have to say, this was the first real proper listen that I've had of the original 65 stereo mix, which sounds very good. And I just have to say, too, just to point this out, because it blew my mind immediately. Hearing, yesterday, you have the acoustic guitar on the right, and then you have the strings on the left, and Paul's vocals in the middle. It's a very subdued, quiet mix, but when it kicks into Dizzy Miss Lizzy, I thought my speakers were going to explode. It is absolutely sensational, and I feel like I'm falling down in general with like a rabbit hole with these Japanese Beatles pressings, because between the Revolver one that I have and this, I definitely want to seek out more in these series. So very happy to get this and make use of something. And speaking of Beatles, I have two massive gaps to fill in my Beatles vinyl collection, as you will see. On Christmas Day, I was watching the final part of Get Back. I finally got around to seeing the entire thing. I kind of watched part 1 and 2 together, and then some time passed, and then I watched the third part on Christmas Day. And right off the bat, I mean, centered around the rooftop gig and everything, like seeing the way that it was presented, it was a very emotional episode. And then just seeing just the build up on how, just how things started at Twickenham, then they came to Apple, and Billy Preston comes in, and just the build up to this big gig that they were going to hold, which ultimately was on the roof. It was amazing to see. And granted, it was Christmas Day. I'd kind of been drinking a little bit. I went on Discogs just to see, what was there. And I stumbled across a seller that was selling these two records. And let me tell you, one of them was still sealed. And I decided to have some fun. I checked around and I said, okay, I can do this. Needless to say, I now have and can complete my Beatles Anthology collection. Anthology 2 and Anthology 3. The Beatles Anthology albums from the 1990s, 95 and 96, brings together a bunch of, demos, live tracks, alternate takes, different mixes of things. And they spread them across 3 albums. And of course, there was the big documentary. There was also a big book. And just a unique portal into the world of Beatles music. How just, it's like an alternate view of what you already know and love. So I already had Volume 1 in my collection. I picked it up at a record store. It was on the wall, and I immediately snagged it. And for a long time, I had been looking for 2 and 3. And sure enough, it finally happened. So just right off the bat, Anthology 2. This features Real Love, which was one of 2 tracks that George, Paul, and Ringo worked on. It was a John Lennon tune that Yoko gave to them. They fleshed out that as a new track, and then it also features basically a bunch of stuff from the 65 to early 68 time frame. Very colorful triple gatefold jacket, which is very nice, with liner notes for each track and whatnot. Very nice. And just I'll showcase one of the records. Now, this was in VG Plus near mint condition, and it looks absolutely nice. Maybe a few minor scuffs on the vinyl, but that does not bother me. And then we get to Anthology 3. This was still sealed. Yes, I cracked the seal because I opened my records to play them. So this right here is a perfectly pristine copy, and this covers 68 up until 1970. Triple gatefold. Love that band shot there. Liner notes, photos, whatnot. And I'll showcase one of the LPs. Now we have the traditional black background, and this is an absolute mint pressing. It is amazing how well this thing is held up, being sealed for, gosh, has it been 25 years? Oh my goodness. But needless to say, so glad that I was able to fill some massive Beatle gaps in my vinyl collection with Anthologies 2 and 3. All right, guys, so here is yet another addition to my collection of a band that I cannot stop talking about. If you have caught my past couple of monthly haul videos, I have definitely showcased at least one or two records by this band. And I'm telling you, like, it's crazy because I'm saying this yet again, like all the other times I've showcased their stuff. I'm still getting their catalog piece by piece, and it's so big and varied. I really want to do a video at some point once I have acquired everything that has been out and just kind of go through each record and just talk about it, because there is certainly a lot to discuss when it comes to this band. If you've been watching my channel for the past couple of months, you might know exactly what I'm going to be showcasing, but if you're out of the loop, the band that I am talking about is Of Montreal. Of Montreal is hands down probably my best music discovery in the past year in 2021. And this album is called Lousy with Sylvie and Briar. This came out back in 2013. This is kind of their folky album, which this stands out a lot because there's a lot of cool retro influences on this record that definitely, I think, hark back to some of Montreal's older work, because the more recent stuff has a lot more electronic type influences, and it's so it's completely different from the old stuff. I'll just say that. So I think this is not exactly an intentional kind of nod to their past, but they're kind of honing in on some of the, influences that really made them so distinguished back when they first started out. But there's also some newer twists. So it has some folky elements, some Americana, a little bit of country. It still has a rocky kind of edge. But this is an album that I am definitely most excited to check out because as I've been going through the Of Montreal discography, I'm slowly warming up to the more modern electronic stuff. And to have this more recent album, which is kind of comfortable territory, it makes me very excited to check it out for myself. So here is the artwork. Nice gatefold sleeve. Printed inner sleeve as well. And this right here is the Newberry Comics pressing, which comes pressed on cotton candy colored vinyl, which is kind of like a nice kind of pale hot pink sort of deal. And this is also limited to 300 copies. It is a very low amount, so I was very happy to get my hands on it. And definitely excited to have this in the collection and give it a spin on the turntable. Of Montreal, Lousy with Sylvie and Briar. All right, guys, here is a little dash of David Bowie in this haul. Very fitting because this month is his 75th birthday and also 5 years since he has passed away, which it doesn't even feel like 5 years. That was one of those days where you knew where you were when it happened, and that was probably the one musician death that I got very emotional about, because when it comes to me and how I see musicians and artists, they are just like me. They are just like you watching, but Bowie was on another caliber, and that was just a weird day in general. But needless to say, the Bowie camp is rolling out a bunch of releases. They're doing a bunch of exhibits and doing all kinds of stuff. But one of the things that they're doing to commemorate with his birthday is they are finally releasing separately on its own the infamous unreleased Toy album. Now, Toy was an album that was recorded right around 2001, and it basically consists of rejiggered versions of Bowie's old repertoire. So things such as I Dig Everything, You've Got a Habit of Leaving, The London Boys, Karma Man, Conversation Piece. So a lot of songs from like the 1964 up until like 1970 time frame he had re-recorded for this album, which ultimately did not get released. Instead, he then kind of came from the remains of this album and has remained unreleased for, 20 years. I think bootleg copies were coming out around 2011, and they finally released it initially as part of the Brilliant Adventure box set, which I showcased in my last haul. I got it on CD for Christmas, and they did a separate release. Now, before I dig into this and into the contents and everything, I am sorry because I know Bowie designed the album cover, but this is one of the worst album covers I've ever seen. It's a baby picture of Bowie, but imposed over top of his nice young baby face is Bowie's then face from 2001. It is horrifying. So horrifying, I might wear a shirt of it just because it's so bad. But this right here, so they released this separately. This is kind of an interesting release because it is a 10-inch vinyl box set release. It features the main album on the first two 10-inch records. Then we have the alternatives and extras, so we have some extra tracks and some alternative versions. And then we have the unplugged and somewhat slightly electric version of the album, which basically is kind of like a stripped-down version of the album. So, rather cool box, and I'll just briefly showcase everything here. Nice bit of design, which is also where I place the hype sticker. And let's see. So we have a very nice booklet. Nice pictures of Bowie there. Man himself looking all sharp. Digs into the album, lists all the various credits and whatnot. All good stuff. And then we get to the vinyl goodies. And I'm going to carefully get these out and showcase them. So here we have the main album, the alternatives and extras, and the stripped down version. So very excited to dig my way through this particular release. Very excited to hear some redone versions of some of Bowie's older works. It's all stuff that I do enjoy as well. I do enjoy the stuff that came out around like that, you know, that 1967 self-titled album and all the singles that came out beforehand. Very unique, very of the time, and it's cool to see Bowie kind of give a nod to that era with the now finally released Toy album. And keeping it in the Bowie theme, we have a legal bootleg type release. This is Tokyo 1978. This is, of course, from the Heroes / Stage era. This is my favorite era of Bowie. I absolutely love the Berlin trilogy. And this consists of a NHK broadcast that Bowie did in Tokyo on December the 12th, 1978. It is not the full show. It is a single LP, but it does have, you know, Warzawa, Heroes, Fame, Beauty and the Beast, of course, a bunch of stuff from Ziggy Stardust, Station to Station, TVC 15. So you get a nice little concise version of the show. I have so many vinyl pressings of live stuff from this era, and I don't think it's going to stop because this, like I said, it's my favorite era. And we have a nice insert with some liner notes as well as some screenshots from the video of the show, which is out there. So that's more than likely what they took the audio from. And then we have the label as well, pressed on black vinyl. And you can see kind of Bowie's face in the background there. So pretty cool legal bootleg type release to have. Another cool just Bowie live release to have in the collection. And then, switching gears a little bit, now we get into some Stones territory. We have here Between the Buttons. This right here is the UK version. I had ordered this for the store just because it was available. And when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I definitely need that for the collection. So very happy to get my hands on the UK version, which, to be honest, I am not too familiar with, because the version that I am most fond of opens up with Let's Spend the Night Together, which I believe is the US version, which I do have on CD. I got it when I was a kid. But now, cool to dig into this UK version. This is one of the Direct Metal Master DSD reissues that APCO oversaw. And these are all rather solid. Very interesting custom center label there, which is quite cool. So pretty excited to dig into this. And then we get into some more interesting territory with this particular release. So check this out. This is called The Best of the Rolling Stones. Now, this is a compilation which came out around 1965-66, only in Germany. And basically it features, you know, them in their early, R&B prime. Satisfaction, It's All Over Now, Play with Fire, one of my personal favorites. Time Is on My Side, Heart of Stone, Little Red Rooster, Not Fade Away, Money. A lot of covers, a lot of bluesy numbers on here. And as you'll see on the back, it is all in German. So this is quite an interesting release. When it comes to, the Rolling Stones, my preferred period is, late 60s going into early 70s. Like, that's prime Stones for me. But I still have such an immense appreciation for the much older stuff as well. So I'm sort of kind of filling in the gaps and getting what I can get of the old stuff. And it comes on this sort of red Decca label. So pretty interesting Stones compilation to have. Something unique to sit alongside the other stuff that I have as well. And then we are going to keep holy the Sabbath day with another legal bootleg release. This is one that has caught my eye majorly since I saw it kind of appear in various, Facebook groups and whatnot. This is Black Sabbath, live at the Fillmore West, San Francisco, California, November 1970 FM broadcast. Personally, I was not aware of this show in the bootleg circles. I thought I just about covered everything in terms of notable Black Sabbath bootleg recordings. But when I saw this and I saw that it was an FM broadcast, I thought, hell yeah, absolutely. And honestly, the set list is very traditional of the time of, late 1970. Paranoid, NIB, War Pigs, Black Sabbath, Iron Man, Behind the Wall of Sleep, Hand of Doom, Rat Salad, Fairies Wear Boots. You really can't go wrong with that set list consisting of stuff from the first two albums. Overall solid artwork. And what's cool that I did not know upon opening it is that it comes pressed on sort of translucent pinkish vinyl, which looks pretty cool. So awesome to have this cool piece of live Sabbath in the collection. And then, of course, just to shift gears completely, mention a band that I just mentioned in my last clip, got my hands on some more of Montreal. And this album is called Aureate Gloom. This was the follow-up to Lousy with Sylvian Breyer. And this album in particular has a bit more of a harsher edge to it. It's kind of their New York City punk album from, the various things that I've read. Very much in that vein. I played this once in the store off of like Spotify and I enjoyed what I've heard. It definitely had more of a kind of a darker kind of edge to it. And enjoyed it upon the first listen. I didn't really get the full in-depth experience, of course, since I was at work. But I can sit in front of the turntable and completely digest it. And of course, as always, with Love Montreal, there is some absolutely killer artwork. And just for the sake of, showcasing everything, it does come with a very cool fold-out poster, which looks nice. And this pressing comes pressed on sort of marbled baby blue vinyl with some very gorgeous artsy labels there, which is very nice. So happy to have this in the ever-growing Of Montreal collection. And now here is the really cool piece. Now, I had purchased this sealed. And of course, I opened my record, so it is not sealed anymore. But needless to say, when I saw it, I was like, you know what? Like, years ago, if I had seen it, I would have been like, it's okay. But considering the connection it has to my favorite band of all time, I just knew that it would be a nice little piece to have in the Kiss collection. And I just did a Kiss collection video, so I feel like, this is outdated already. But check this out. This is an interesting piece. This right here is Kiss My Ass, Classic Kiss Regrooved. This is basically an authorized tribute album that Kiss basically sanctioned. Mercury Records put it out. This was back in 1994. And on this, you have Lenny Kravitz doing Deuce. Garth Brooks does a great version of Hard Luck Woman that even Kiss plays on. So Kiss plays on their own tribute albums. Anthrax is a great cover of She. Gin Blossoms do Christine 16. Toad the Wet Sprocket does like a very like interesting alternative rock version of Rock and Roll All Night. It's interesting. Shandy's Addiction, which is kind of like a super group done specifically for this album. They do Calling Dr. Love, Dinosaur Jr., Extreme, Lemonheads, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, Yoshiki, Die Arts. Just honestly, it's a decent tribute album out of the couple of Kiss tribute albums that are out there. But as you can see, family at the dinner table. Notice Ace Frehley's makeup is nowhere to be seen, so they used something else. Probably has something to do with the rights of, like, I don't know if Ace has a say in how his makeup is represented. I'm not quite sure, but another alternative makeup design had to be used. And what's great, too, I just mentioned that Die Arts was on this. They do a German version of Unholy. That is exclusive to the vinyl pressing. It does not appear on the CD. And gatefold sleeve has all the credits there with various Kiss Army members and various Kiss tattoos. And what is cool about this pressing is that it comes pressed on red vinyl, which is very cool. And like I said, this was still sealed when I purchased it, so this is a very nice, clean copy. Fresh piece of virgin vinyl that I am excited to play. And yeah, just another interesting piece of Kiss-related vinyl to add to the Kiss collection. All right, guys, so today is the 8th of January. It is David Bowie's 75th birthday, and I am still in a Bowie mood. And to kind of get a little celebratory, I picked up another cool piece of Bowie vinyl that was at my store for the longest time. And when I saw it, I immediately put it to the side, and I decided to snag it today. And that is The Next Day. This is the album that came out back in 2013. This was his first new album of material since 2003's Reality. So a whole 10 years had passed. And for a while, I think a lot of people speculated that maybe Reality was it, because he had the heart attack on stage, kind of disappeared from the public eye completely, and then he sort of dropped this album out of nowhere, had band members sign NDAs and such, just to kind of keep it on the hush-hush. But I'm excited to dig deeper into this album. I remember I bought it on CD when it came out, and a couple of tracks on here that stand out to me. Where Are We Now was the first main single. It's a very introspective Bowie tune. Valentine's Day, The Stars Are Out Tonight is a good one. There's also Love Is Lost, the title track. It's an honestly rather solid album, and I'm excited to re-experience this album once again. As you can see, they kind of riff off of the Heroes album cover. Some people call it unimaginative, but I can kind of see the sense in it, how it kind of crosses out Heroes and it says The Next Day there. And then same deal with the back. They just put the square in the middle with the track list. Gatefold sleeve. And we do have some pretty interestingly designed printed inners. So we have all the lyrics here, and we have some rather interesting artwork there. And then I'll also take out the other one, and I'll just take out one of the records because it's basically the same across the board. There's Bowie right there. All the credits. And here is what the records look like. Nice orange labels with the square artwork there. Nice heavyweight pressing. So definitely excited to beef up once again the ever-growing Bowie collection. And I do have to say, my Bowie vinyl collection is definitely one of the more intriguing parts of my vinyl collection in general, because there's so many different things that I have in terms of limited edition releases, record store day, compilations, bootlegs, and such. So happy birthday, Mr. David Bowie. Got my hands on The Next Day. And there's a pattern here. You can only assume what the next band I'm going to showcase is. Of Montreal. So we got a couple more of Montreal pieces in the collection. This one is called Snare Lustrous Doomings. I am excited to check this out. This is a double live album. This was done after the album Lousy with Sylvian Breyer, which I have to say, upon listening to that album, I absolutely loved it. Has a cool 70s classic rock vibe to it. And this basically covers a good bulk of their career. Kind of skips over a couple albums here and there, but it kind of covers everything across the board. And Of Montreal is relatively known for putting on a very sort of theatrical, assault on the senses type of show with actors, lights, projections, video screens. It's a very interactive show. Now, granted, you can't really see it with this release, but you can at least hear it. You got the Kevin and the band just absolutely ripping through tracks such as Suffer for Fashion, which is this great, amped up, energetic opener. Fugitive Air, which is the opener of Sylvia and Briar. Parties Crashing Us, great tune. The Past is a Grotesque Animal. That's the big epic piece that rounds off the show. Just absolutely great stuff. Love the packaging and design of this as well. So there you go. You can kind of get a sense on what their live shows are like just by looking at the gatefold. And there's also a cool kind of photo book, which has various photos taken from the show. Absolutely great stuff. And I'll just take out one of the LPs because it basically looks relatively the same across the board. This pressing comes pressed. It states that it's purple vinyl, but to me this is almost like a marbled kind of maroonish colored vinyl. And I also love the just the combination of this type of colored vinyl as well as the blue and black center labels. I just think that is a very sharp looking pressing. So definitely excited to sink my teeth into some live Of Montreal. And then I also picked up this release. This is the Rune Husk EP. Just 4 tracks. This, from what I've read online, it's kind of like their Ziggy Stardust, kind of, in terms of the style that they were going for, because Of Montreal tends to shift styles from album to album. And with this little 4-track thing, it's funny enough, I just showed Bowie. If this is their Ziggy Stardust, then hey, I'm all for it. And cool thing with this pressing is that it is pressed on clear vinyl. Nice basic labels there. Very, very cool. And yeah, I gotta say, I think this haul for this month in general is the most that my Of Montreal collection has grown. So it is growing at a very quick and rapid pace, but I'm absolutely loving it because I absolutely love this band. All right, guys, so here is roughly a week's worth of vinyl acquisitions, and I was waiting to film a clip until I had a second where there wasn't any mail coming, I wasn't doing any trades or just buying anything. I kind of wanted to wait until there was just a quiet time where I can just finally showcase what I had gotten in the course of a week, and there is a lot of stuff here. So let's dig right in. So first up is a bit of an impulse purchase that I made at my local Walmart. I was doing some shopping and I was taking a look at their vinyl stands and I stumbled across this. Now granted, I was aware that this had come out some time ago, and at the time I kind of said to myself, nah, already have the FYE pressing, it's in my collection already. But I guess sometimes, there's that bug in the air that just kind of gets to you and it makes you kind of change your reasoning and ways. And needless to say, I fell victim of that. So the record that I am talking about is the Jimi Hendrix Experience Smash Hits. Now, of course, this is the Walmart exclusive pressing, because if you're going to buy records from Walmart, might as well make them exclusives. And as you can tell, it features the alternate album cover. And then here is the backside. Solid compilation, single LP of various singles and album cuts from Jimi and the Experience. Can't go wrong. And they include an insert inside, which features the original artwork. And this is the cover that my FYE exclusive pressing has. And, of course, since, it's a piece of colored vinyl, what better color could you ask for than Purple Haze colored vinyl? Now, it comes across as rather opaque depending on which angle you look at it, but if you kind of shine a light right there, you can kind of see the haze effect. It's a shame you can't really see it fully on camera, but you basically kind of get the gist of it. But yeah, even though the metal work of this pressing is the exact same as the FYE pressing, just between, you know, the artwork and the colored vinyl, it was enough for me to snag another copy of it. And also, it's Hendrix. You know, the estate does a great job with the vinyl pressings and such. They're all, you know, they sound fantastic, mastered beautifully, pressed to quality record pressings. You really can't go wrong. So, Walmart exclusive of Jimi Hendrix Experience Smash Hits, and also kind of keeping a 60s thread kind of going with these next several picks. And the next two I'm going to show you, I kind of purchased on a whim thanks to my good friend slash co-worker Nico. He is a big 60s guy, and he was playing these two records in the store when we were working one of these past days. And it kind of prompted me because I was looking to pick up some stuff because I brought stuff into trade into the store from my personal collection, and then I had some credit and such, and I figured, you know what, instead of getting what I originally was going to get, I'm going to get these, and I'll just kind of explain, you know, my reasoning for them and also what stuff I already had of certain artists on my collection and whatnot. We have the Kinks Face to Face. I already have Village Green and Lola, and now I have this. Of course, I knew Sunny Afternoon from this before I had listened to this album, but what struck me was the final track, I'll Remember, which kind of reminded me of some kind of Beatles Rubber Soul type material. So it kind of prompted me to get a copy of this for myself, and I am very excited to listen to this album fully, like, you know, with my setup and everything, because we have an in-store setup at the record store that I manage, where we can just play records all day or connect, you know, via Spotify. While listening to music that way and getting subjected to new stuff is great, I like to sit in front of my turntable and just kind of take in the whole experience. And I'll show you the center label there as well. And then this other record that I got thanks to Nico is actually a first for my collection. I don't have any records by this band. And considering that I love 60s psychedelia, you are probably going to be shocked when I showcase it on camera. And I'm going to say that I personally have never really listened to this album before. I know it is a collection standard. I just figured one day I would get to it. And that time finally came. Pace yourselves. I bet right now all of you guys went, but yes, this is the Zombies, Odyssey and Oracle. Absolutely loved this album upon the first listen, and I decided to get it for my collection. Like I said, this is definitely an essential. It seems like everybody has this album, and now I can say that I do as well. So very happy to get my hands on this and also dig deeper into the world of the Zombies, because I don't have any Zombies records in my collection. But now that I mention it, because I just was talking about FYE pressings, I remember there was an exclusive pressing that was done of their like kind of best of greatest hits compilation. So I remember seeing that, but I never really thought to pick it up for myself and kind of dig into that. But this is the best album to do it with, so happy to have it. And then here is a record that I got into from my coworker slash friend, John. If you may have seen on probably, I think it was the end of the December haul, I picked up Hurdy-Gurdy Man, which I absolutely love. A bunch of my coworkers play that album in the store. And yes, just because I said Hurdy-Gurdy Man, you can probably guess what artist I am talking about. And that is the British folk artist that is Donovan. This album is called Where Your Love Like Heaven. Great piece of 60s psychedelic folk type stuff. Absolutely love this album. And once again, like Hurdy-Gurdy, this is the mono mix. Sundays put this out, and hopefully it'll come across good on camera because it's a rather deep purple, no pun intended. This kind of comes on sort of translucent purple vinyl. It's cool, like it's overall a purple hue, but if you look at it, there's like little bits of blue in there that kind of creates the hue of the color. It's a very nice effect, I must say. And also it matches the color scheme of the album artwork, so it all kind of blends in well. So happy to have this. And next is an artist that I personally have never listened to period. This is kind of a blind buy, but I bought this with a little bit of guidance because back when I did my interview with Hazel English roughly a year ago, she had showcased this record in the interview, and she was saying how much she really liked it, and ever since then I've been meaning to check out this album for myself. And the record that I am talking about is an album by an artist named Margot Guryan, and the album is called Take a Picture. Came out around 1968, you know, kind of rocky folk pop type stuff. She passed away actually this past year in 2021, and I was able to get some copies in of this album for the store with the intention of me perhaps getting a copy at some point down the road, and I figured I would forego the process immediately and check out this album for myself and also report to Hazel what I think of it, because I'm really excited to listen to this. This is another Sunday's pressing, and this features the mono mix as well, which apparently is quite rare. Because I believe the stereo version was probably in higher circulation, and then there's the label there. So pretty cool to have this album in the collection, and this was the only record that she really did, because after this she kind of just disappeared. And I believe there was also a collection of various demos and such that was reissued fairly recently, and if I find myself really enjoying this album, then maybe I will check out the demos. So got my hands on some Margot Guryan. And then we shift entirely to one of my high school favorites. I'm telling you, total contrast between what I've just showed you in the last, 4 or 5 records. And now we jump into some Linkin Park. So this album is called The Hunting Party. This came out in 2014, and this is one of my favorite Linkin Park albums. This was them kind of going for more of a rock-based type sound, because the previous 2 records before this, Thousand Suns and Living Things, were very much in the electronic vein, and they kind of went back to their sort of rocky roots, similar to what they did with Hybrid Theory, Meteora, but there's still a little bit of rap elements here and there, but overall there is a lot of aggression and a lot of heaviness on this album. I remember it came out summer of 2014, so it was after my junior year of high school. I remember I got the CD on release date, and I just absolutely devoured it. So I am so happy that a vinyl pressing got in my hands. This is actually a repressing that was done this past year. It was available from one of the distros that I buy from, and I immediately jumped on it, and already this is commanding some crazy money. It's insane. But just to kind of showcase it a bit, this does feature some alternate artwork, which is exclusive to the vinyl pressing. And there's also this giant fold-out insert, which has even more artwork and credits and such, which is pretty cool. And it's also a double LP, and I'll take out the last one just so you can kind of get the gist of it. And the main album takes up 3 sides of vinyl. So of course here's side 3, but then you turn it over and you have a pretty cool etching. Hopefully you can catch that right there, catch the design. Basically, just by the looks of it, it looks to be the design that is on the front cover. So very happy to get this missing piece of Linkin Park vinyl in my collection. And now I gotta track down Thousand Suns. That's another one that commands some money. So happy to get my hands on The Hunting Party. And then we dig into some more classic territory. We have a bunch of legal bootlegs. And first up, we have Alice Cooper, $Billion Nightmare. This is taken from a King Biscuit Flower Hour broadcast from the Wendler Arena in Saginaw, Michigan in 1978. So this was probably, just judging by the set list, it's not the complete show. Has to be around the time of Lace and Whiskey, like right before he did From the Inside. So it's from that tour, and honestly, the set list, it's kind of like a greatest hits almost. Under My Wheels, $1 Billion Babies, I'm 18, Is It My Body, Escape is on here, Love the Dead, Go to Hell, I Never Cry, School's Out. You know, it's a concise highlights type release, but you know, it's live Alice. I absolutely love Alice, so can't go wrong there. And what's cool with this pressing is that it comes pressed on yellow vinyl, which is very cool. And there's a couple of other Alice Cooper legal bootlegs that I have at the shop too that I have stashed away. I'll probably get those whenever. It's just whatever what kind of flavor of the week is, kind of. So got myself some Alice. And then this I actually ordered from a fellow seller on the Facebook Marketplace, of all places. I had recognized the guy's name because I had purchased from him before, because he sells on Discogs and he has a mailing list and everything. He's always selling, you know, bootlegs, unofficial stuff, legal bootlegs, and that's exactly what this is. Going to be getting the lead out here. If you haven't caught on to what that reference is, we got some Led Zeppelin. This is the International Motor Speedway, live in Louisville, Texas, August 31st, 69 FM broadcast. Rather concise set, opens up with Train Kept A-Rollin', I Can't Quit You Baby. So just those two tracks right there, I am already sold. Dazed and Confused is on here, How Many More Times, Communication Breakdown. You know, it's classic early Zeppelin territory, so you really can't go wrong with this release. And it's funny, I wasn't really too familiar with this particular recording when I saw that it was available, and then upon listening to it on YouTube, I actually really enjoyed what I heard in terms of the sound quality of this. It wasn't like the Black Sabbath Fillmore West release, where it said that it was an FM broadcast, but it was actually an audience recording. So kind of interesting how that kind of slipped the cracks. But kind of like a basic black center label, but very cool to have. And then we're going to wrap up this clip, not this haul, but this clip, with a bit of a big bang. This is probably one of the more lavishly designed legal bootleg packages that I have seen. And that is, check this out. This is AC/DC, the Broadcast Collection. Now, this is a sort of box set of 3 different radio broadcasts from the Bon Scott era. So we have Cleveland 1977, Boston 78, and Columbus 78. So this is right around the time of Let There Be Rock and Powerage. I already had the Cleveland show on vinyl. I ended up bringing it in at the store. It was one of those cases where, you know, the show is from 77, but the photo on the front is from like 1980, 1981. Brian Johnson's on the front. And then on the back, there's a picture with Simon Wright. It was kind of all over the place. But in terms of the artwork, I think they nailed it because Bond's on the front. But yeah, this is absolutely gorgeous. And upon opening it, I was quite intrigued with how this is designed. I'm just going to take it out. So no, this is not going to be safe for a unboxing. You're going to see it now. So it's set up like a book style type deal where we have a bunch of band photographs. And if you see right here, the records are stored inside, almost like a folio almost, which is quite unique. I'm trying to be very careful because I don't want to mess up the binding. But it is very, very cool. It's cool to see it designed like this, and it even provides some brief liner notes here. So, very cool release. Cool to have 3 different live shows of AC/DC from the early Bon Scott era with the Broadcast Collection. All right, guys, so here is a record that I did not suspect I would see in my collection. This is not exactly a sort of holy moly, I can't believe I found this type of record, but it was a case where I remember I saw it back when I was working at Books A Million. It was at the store, and then I left, and I think it must have sold out at some point, but when I saw that it was available to order once again, I immediately jumped on the opportunity to get myself a copy, and that is Nirvana's In Utero, the 2013 mix. So back in 2013, when In Utero celebrated its 20th anniversary, they did a big, massive reissue campaign for it. And to kind of coincide with the anniversary, they did this new remix of the album. And what's cool with this particular vinyl pressing of it is that it is cut at 45 RPM, which I am sure is going to sound absolutely wonderful. In Utero, I would say, is the one Nirvana album that I don't really go to often. It's always usually the first 2, as well as like the Unplugged album. So I am glad to give this album another spin. This time around at 45, since I already do own the original album itself. But it is very, very cool to own this particular copy of it because it always kind of caught my eye. I always wanted to revisit this album and give this new mix a shot. So that is finally happening. So glad to have this in the collection. And then up next is a very cool legal bootleg release from the Beatles. This is Budokan, 1966, Act 1, June 30th. So this is basically the first show that they did at the legendary Budokan in Tokyo, Japan during their sole Japanese tour. There was a big controversy with these guys playing at the Budokan at the time. And the Budokan shows that they did, infamous. You know, Ringo felt that, you know, the band's playing just wasn't quite up to par. He felt that they were kind of sucking a little bit. And sure, the performances are what they are. It's the Beatles live in the sort of Beatlemania era. You know, there's just this wall of screams drowning out the band, and the band is just trudging along as best as they possibly can. And that's exactly what you get with this. And set list wise, you know, you get, you know, standards like, you know, rock and roll music, She's a Woman, I'm Down, I Want to Be Your Man. But then again, you also have them trying to push forward some of the more mature, newer stuff, such as If I Needed Someone, Day Tripper, Nowhere Man, and which I'm sure that was hard to do with those intricate harmonies, and Paperback Writer, of course. So it's a very rockin' set, I should say. And there is also the second show available on legal bootleg format as well, which perhaps if I really enjoy what I hear with this, I will seek out the other one, because if I have show 1 and I'm a completist, I would have to have show 2. We shall see. It's out there, though. It's available. And what's cool, this is actually a release that came directly from Japan. Nice, thick jacket, and there is a sort of a replica ticket here with some Japanese writing. And the vinyl itself comes pressed on green vinyl, which is cool. This is on the Eternal Grooves label, as you can see there. So really excited to dig into this legal Beatles bootleg. And then the next couple of records I picked up at a Barnes & Noble. And this record here I already have a copy of, but I'll explain my reasoning to pick up a copy, another one. This is Queen's Innuendo. This came out back in 1991. This was Freddie's last album with the band before he passed away. This is a truly remarkable album. This is probably Queen's strongest album since maybe The Game or The Works, depending on the day. It's either one of those albums. It kind of harks back to their roots almost. You kind of get a sense of A Night at the Opera with them really kind of flexing out their muscles a little bit and just going all over the place musically, especially with the title track, 6-minute epic. It's, you know, Queen does Zeppelin, basically. Going Slightly Mad, These Are the Days of Our Lives, Show Must Go On, Ride the Wild Winds, one of my favorites. Just solid album. Now, what I have in my collection already is the 2LP half-speed master press on colored vinyl, because I do have the Studio Collection box set. This right here is a pressing that Hollywood did back around 2009. And I believe same goes with the original vinyl pressing of this in 91. They edited some of the songs, that way they can all fit it onto one LP. The songs in particular that they edited were I'm Going Slightly Mad, Don't Try So Hard, The Hitman, and Bijou. Those 4 tracks kind of got sliced and diced a little bit, and also the album is slightly resequenced as well, which is kind of interesting. So I think having this sort of unique version somewhat compensates, but also I absolutely love this album as well. Features some great artwork here, printed inner sleeve with the lyrics, as well as some artwork there. And just for the hell of it, I'll showcase the custom center label there. So really excited to have another copy of this phenomenal Queen record in my collection. And then the other record that I picked up, and this is one that I've been wanting to get for the longest time, and I don't know why, just I got it so late to the party. Finally have it now. Creedence Clearwater Revival live at Woodstock. This is simply a document of CCR's performance at the Woodstock Festival. Born on the Bayou's on here, Green River, Bootleg, Commotion, Bad Moon Rising, Proud Mary, Put a Spell on You, Night Time's the Right Time, Susie Q, Keep on Chugglin', classic early CCR stuff. There is the great story that John Fogerty always says that when CCR played Woodstock, they went on right after the Grateful Dead. Grateful Dead kind of played on a little bit, and basically everyone was kind of like roughly asleep during CCR set, and John goes to the mic and says, you know, we hope you're having a good time, you know, whatever. And then there's some guy all the way in the back saying, we're with ya. Just a very funny story, but very happy to finally have this live document of CCR in my collection. And I don't think I have any live CCR in my collection, actually. So this is a first for now. I know that there's a couple of live albums out there of CCR, but I don't know, CCR live, you know, it's very much kind of like what you get with the Chronicle compilation, or just in general. It's just a collection of hits performed live, just like the record. But needless to say, I am still excited. And what I love that they did with this pressing of it is that they replicated the old school blue fantasy label. And that is a very nice touch, almost as if this was to come out back in the day. I just like that they used that label for this, I don't want to say new release, because when did this come out? 2019. It's certainly been a while. But needless to say, finally got it in the collection. CCR live at Woodstock. So there you guys go. That is my vinyl haul of all the records that I acquired within the month of January this year in 2022. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support this channel, be sure to check me out on Patreon. See you guys in the next video. And most importantly, keep the records spinning.